Hey guys, it's Farhad here from Team Fighting Fit, continuing with Project 10, your guide on how to get lean and to get to 10% body fat in order to see ripped abs. 12 to 40% for females, just a reminder, women hold more fat than men. Now we're going to go into our nutritional portion of the fitness trifecta, and we're going to talk about calories. So the first part of this video series is going to talk about calories. We've got a lot of topics to cover. Nutrition is going to be the biggest video series in this series because there's just so much to cover. I want to quickly talk about calories. Now, we've all heard about calories, we know about calories. What exactly is a calorie though? A calorie is simply a unit of energy. So the energy in your body, just like fuel is, just like petrol is when you put that in your car, that provides your car with energy, calories provide your body with energy. So all that is energy. So 1 calorie is 1 unit of energy, if you think about it like that. Now you need a certain amount of units of energy per day depending on what it is you do. So it's very important as a baseline you work out what your daily caloric needs are, because it's important to work out what your calorie needs are, because if your goal is to lose weight, lose body fat, you need to create a deficit. If your goal is to gain weight and gain muscle mass, you need to create a surplus. So for example, let's say your caloric goal, your needs for the day are 2,000. If you got anything less than 2,000, you're going to be in a deficit. If you get anything more than 2,000, you're going to be in a surplus. In a deficit, you lose body fat or body weight, so you could actually be losing muscle mass. Or you gain, in a calorie surplus, you gain muscle mass or body fat, i.e. mass and weight in general. So we want to create for most of you watching this, we're going to create a deficit. Now, if you were already quite lean and you want to gain muscle mass as well as losing body fat, there are ways to manipulate your calories through calorie cycling and carb cycling in order to achieve that. To keep things simple though, we're just going to talk about deficits versus surplus on a basic level. If you are at that level and you want some in-depth detail, do get in touch with me and us, and we'll help you understand the whole concept of calorie cycling and carb cycling. So how many calories do you need to lose weight? Well, what we're going to talk about is losing body fat, and this is a very overly simplified view of this whole idea of body fat. There's a lot of debate in the fitness community about this, and I'm actually erring on the side of this being a little bit too much of a simplistic view, and there's more to it than just 3,500 calories. But you might have heard that 1 pound of body fat equals 3,500 calories. Kilocalories. So in order to lose 1 pound a week of body fat, you need to create a deficit of 3,500 calories. So over, if we do 500 calories a day minus, then times 7, that's 3,500 calories a week, and you can safely lose 1 pound of body fat if you do it that way. If you start going too low in calories and creating a large deficit, generally more than 500, especially lower than your basal metabolic rate, you're going to start burning muscle mass, which is not what we want, because we want to create optimum metabolism for a fat burning environment within the body. So we're going to look at creating a 500 calorie deficit. So going from 2,000 calories a day to 1,500 calories a day in terms of diet alone is quite difficult. It's quite restrictive. So what if you just take 250 here from your diet and 250 here from added activity and exercise? That way you create that 500 calorie deficit. So that's roughly your goal for the day. Now, how do you work out your caloric needs for the day? There's a lot of information that you can go through. There's a lot of things you need to consider and factor in. For example, one day is going to be different to the next. One day you might exercise, the next day you might not, so your caloric needs are going to be different. One day you just might miss the bus for work and you have to run. Your caloric needs are going to be different, but just from a day-to-day basis. So it's all well and good being strict and calculated. It's very difficult to do that. However, modern technology has made it easy. I mean, you can get smartwatches that do that for you. I use the Fitbit HR Charge. That gives me my daily caloric burn based on my heart rate, which is pretty neat. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's certainly a little bit more accurate than just having one set figure that I used to work with before all of this technology was released. The quickest and most simplest way to work out your daily calorie needs, if you haven't got a smartwatch, is just download an app like MyFitnessPal on your phone, plug in your details. It should give you a relatively good idea of what calories you're going to need based on your fitness goals and weight loss goals. We, however, use formulas. We check out our clients' lean body mass based on fat caliper measurements. We get their body fat measured, and then we can create a portfolio for that client based on their lean body mass. So really, you want to work on lean body mass, but you need to get your body fat checked by a reputable source, for example, a personal trainer like ourselves, who can give you an accurate read. You can do home tests on bioimpedance scales. They're not as accurate, but it gives you an idea. I wouldn't use a scale, for example, a body fat scale to test your baseline body fat and then use that as your and calculate your lean body mass on that. I would just use a body fat scale at home if you're using it consistently to see if you're losing or gaining body fat. That's probably what they're only good for. But we're going to keep it simple and stick to MyFitnessPal for now. So that's really what I wanted to talk to you about, calories, and how you can use something like MyFitnessPal in your app store or any of the other apps out there. I know Livestrong do a good one that you can use to calculate your calories and work out calories. Remember, just to summarize this portion on calories, calories are basically units of energy that you need. You need a certain amount of calories per day. If you go over that, you create a surplus, which means you gain weight. And if you're training and if you're eating the right kind of foods and the right amount of quantities, you're going to be gaining muscle mass. If you don't train or you're eating too much of the wrong kinds of foods or too much at all, you're going to gain body fat. If you create a deficit by eating less calories than you need, the right amount of caloric deficit and the right kind of exercise is going to create fat loss. Too much caloric deficit is going to create muscle loss, which is not what we want. So that is the basic overview of calories. Next one, we're going to talk about macronutrients. Hey, it's Fahad here again from Team Fighting Fit, part of Project 10, helping you get to 10% body fat to see those ripped abs that you so desire. So we're going to carry on with our nutrition portion of the fitness trifecta training, and I'm going to go on to the next topic, which is macronutrients. Now, a macro means large, micro means small. We're going to cover micronutrients in the next video. Macronutrients basically are the categorizations of the kind of foods you eat. The different types of foods you eat are categorized by macronutrients, and your body assimilates and processes different macronutrients in different ways. So the main three macronutrients, I've written them down, are carbohydrates, aka carbs, fats and proteins. They do different things for the body. Now, just as a caveat, there is a fourth pseudo macronutrient, alcohol. When your body takes in alcohol, it has to get rid of it as it sees it as a toxin, so it inhibits process of carbs, fats and proteins at that point. If optimum health, fitness, wellness, nutrition is a key concern to you, then eliminating alcohol from your diet will really help you, especially if achieving a ripped physique is going to be of an importance to you. So I'm not going to cover alcohol because it has no sort of nutrition or energy value. As we spoke about calories and energy, it has no value in that respect. It does contain calories, but it doesn't provide your body with any sort of energy or nutrition. So we're not going to really cover that. So we're going to cover carbs, fats and proteins. Now, first one we're going to talk about is carbs. Carbohydrates have a very interesting reputation in the whole media at the moment. Before, they were the darling of the fitness industry, and now they're seen as the devil. How did that happen? Why did that happen? What's going on? So basically, carbohydrates have been branded now as something as evil, if you like. If you want to try and lose weight, people are advocating a lower carbohydrate diet. The simple reason why I believe that lower carbohydrates are advocated is simply because we overconsume carbohydrates as a general population. What happens to your body when you eat carbohydrates? Well, first of all, carbohydrates they come from plant-based foods. There's two types of carbohydrates: simple carbohydrates, which are easily broken down by the body. Their molecular structure is simple, so they're broken down quite easily. And you have complex carbohydrates, whose molecular structure is a lot more complicated. It takes a longer time to break down, such as starches, etc. And then the net effect of that is your digestion. The digestion of those carbohydrates take longer. The blood sugar levels are usually more stable in that respect. So a lot of emphasis is on eating complex carbohydrates. However, there's another element to think about, and that's the glycemic index and the glycemic load, which basically relates to the level of effect it has on your blood sugar levels when you eat those carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are broken down into glucose molecules and stored in your muscle as glycogen for energy use. So the muscle absorbs this glycogen and it's stored energy that's used for later. Any excess glycogen is taken to the liver and converted to fat. So too much carbohydrate consumption, too low muscle mass in the body equals excess fat storage. But the real key reason to understand about carbohydrates is what happens when you eat them. When I just alluded to the fact that your blood sugar levels elevate when you eat carbohydrates depending on the type of carbohydrates you eat. So a lot of people eat the wrong kind of carbohydrates. We eat highly processed foods, we eat highly sugary foods. Those kind of carbohydrates are going to really elevate blood sugar levels. So when your blood sugar when you eat the carbohydrate, your blood sugar levels elevate. Your body goes into this mode where it has to get rid of that blood sugar because blood in the sugar is dangerous. So we have to get rid of it. To handle that, your body releases an hormone called insulin. So as insulin is released when that spike happens, like that, the blood sugar tapers off. During this period of insulin secretion in your body, that period there, your body cannot burn fat. So what happens is, if your body can't burn and utilize fat for energy, and it's utilizing carbohydrate for energy, your body's holding onto that fat store. What we find is when you're eating too much carbohydrates throughout the day, so let's assume that this is your day, and breakfast you have carbohydrates, you have a carbohydrate snack which isn't very good, you have a bit of a break from eating, you eat a bit of lunch, there's carbohydrates again, and you might have carbohydrate dinner and another carbohydrate snack or whatever. Your body's constantly doing this with insulin, and your body is more or less inhibiting fat burn because you've only got very small windows there where your body can burn fat for energy. So when you're considering a diet moving forward, eating the right kind of carbohydrates at the right time, and we're going to talk about that in meal timings, is going to be beneficial for you so that your body is utilizing fat for energy during rest periods rather than carbohydrates and glucose and glycogen. So now we're going to talk about fats. Fats are broken down in the body into triglycerides, and they're used for energy as well. They're also used for hormone production. They're used for vitamin transport. Very important now, a lot of emphasis in the 80s and 90s were placed on low-fat diets to help you lose weight. We've now found that that's actually wrong. You need fats in your diet. A good portion of quality fats is going to help you in your quest to have a lean physique, especially the good fats, the right kind of fats. Just talking about good fats, we have something called an omega 3 to 6 balance. Now, omega 3s generally come from things like fish oils. They come from certain seeds like flax seeds. Omega 6s usually come from grains and foods like that, like sunflower oils and things like that. Now, problem is with our diets, we have too much of this going on and not enough of this. And that's one of the reasons why we have such a disease state in our bodies these days. What we need to do is readdress this balance by focusing on omega 3s in our diets so that we bring the ratio closer together. So currently people are operating in a 1 to 20 omega 3 to omega 6 ratio. We need to bring that down, so it should be 1 to 3 to 1 to 1 is a good ratio. So supplementing with fish oils, eating oily fish, that kind of thing, eating flaxseed oils, those things are going to really help address that balance. So good fats in your diet are going to really be key to health and nutrition and wellness. Good fats include things like avocados, fish oils, as we've already spoken about, flax seeds, flax oil. Those kind of foods are going to create positive changes in the body, and they're the good fats that you need. Proteins, on the other hand, proteins get broken down into amino acids, which are used for cell creation, for hormone creation. These are really important, especially if you're going to create a calorie deficit, which we spoke about earlier, and you want to maintain as much lean muscle as possible. You want to focus on getting good quality protein so you get the right amino acids so you're not having muscle breakdown. The other thing about proteins as well is we call it a thermogenic food. It has a thermic effect. What that means is it actually takes more calories than carbs and fats to break down and process in the body. So if you're eating 1,000 calories of food and the majority of that is protein, this is just an example, you're going to actually burn more calories than if you're having 1,000 calories of, say, fats and carbs. So you want to focus on having good quality proteins at every meal, things like meat, lean meats, eggs, fish, protein supplements, plant-based protein sources as well. So focus on proteins as well. So how much of this all do you need? Well, we work on various ways of figuring this out. You can work on a ratio, or you can work on weights. Now, for the carbs and proteins, it's easy to work out ratios. Depending on your insulin sensitivity, where you are now in terms of your body fat levels, you're going to be wanting between, say, 20 to 40% carbohydrates, depending where you are, depending on your lifestyle, depending on your training and exercise. Now, 40% is what we would give someone who's leaner, who has a more athletic lifestyle, and who has good insulin sensitivity. If they're really, really physically active, then we could push that up to 60, but because physically active people need more calories anyway, the carbohydrates will go up as a proportion of the percentages. Fats, a good area to aim for would be 30%. If you're going lower than 20% carbohydrates, the fats are going to compensate for that. And lastly, proteins are going to work out between 30 to 40%. However, you can work out proteins based on your weight. So if you take your lean body mass, so imagine your lean body mass is 50, I'm just going to use 50 kilograms as a very easy way to calculate this. For active males, you want 2 to 3 times that number, and for females, you want 2 times that number. So a woman, female, has 50 kilograms of lean body mass. I'm not talking about overall body mass, this is lean body mass minus fat mass. You're going to want about 100 grams of carbs per day, and guys, 100 to 150 based on that calculation and that weight. So now you know how much carbohydrates, proteins and fats you need. So imagine you need 2,000 calories a day. Let's just say you're going to do a 40-30-30 ratio. We're going to ignore the 30% on the protein. We're just going to work out the carbs and fats just for now. Just ignore. You can work that out on a percentage, but we just told you we can work out on weight as well. But let's just work out the carbs and fats. So 40% of this would be 800 calories. Am I right? Yeah, 800 calories. And 30% of that would be 600 calories from fat. So you want 800 calories from carbohydrates, 600 calories from fat. The rest will come from protein. So that will again be 600 calories from protein, carbs and fats. Okay, so how do you work out the grammages? Simple. There are 4 grams of carbs per calorie, and there are of carbohydrates. There are 9 grams per calorie of fats, and again there's 4 grams per protein. So you just divide that by 4, which is 200 grams. You divide that by 9, which is about 66 grams, something like that. My maths isn't very good, but you can probably work that out better than I can, but you understand the numbers there. So it's important to get the right mix. So it's not just about the calories you eat, the number of calories you eat, the macronutrients you eat make a big difference as well, because depending on how your body handles certain hormones, how your body's insulin resistance is. Remember, so when your body's more sensitive to insulin, your body requires less insulin to deal with the carbohydrate response, so you have less insulin throughout the day, which means you've got more fat burning propensity. So the key when you're looking at all of the food you're eating and the nutrient density and the quality of your food, if you're eating the right types of foods, your insulin sensitivity improves over time, and that means you can actually eat carbohydrates without gaining too much body fat or without storing more body fat, and you can burn fat better. The way you do that is through nutrient density, through supplementing with omega-3, so making sure that omega-3 to omega-6 balance is right, making sure you're eating the right kind of food, so your carbohydrates are generally coming from green vegetables, they're not too processed, and you're not having too much sweet food, you're not missing meals, you're not constantly snacking and eating the wrong types of foods, you're not having the wrong types of fats in your diet, you're getting a good amount of protein, a good amount of exercise. We're going to cover training in a moment, but resistance training, exercise and those kind of things are going to help increase insulin sensitivity over time. So the key when you're talking about macronutrients is get the right balance to increase insulin sensitivity, to get the right hormonal response. Again, we're going to talk about hormones, briefly touch on that in a moment. And then what that's going to do is that's going to create the right kind of environment inside you to burn fat, to give you energy, to gain muscle, and to keep you in a right state so that you are achieving your goal, Project 10, 10% body fat, 12 to 14 for females, but you get what I mean by now. Alright, so that's the macronutrient portion done. Hopefully that's told you a lot about macronutrients, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch. Hey, it's Fahad here from Team Fighting Fit, Project 10. We're going to really quickly go through this one now on micronutrients. We just covered macronutrients, so you understand carbs, fats and proteins better, hopefully. Micronutrients basically cover vitamins and minerals. Now, vitamins and minerals are called micronutrients because they come in such small amounts in the body, and also they do not provide energy. What they provide is they provide resources for your body to do per certain functions, cell production, energy production, and those kind of things are taken care of with vitamins and minerals. So if you have any deficiencies in vitamins and minerals, your body's not going to function at an optimum level. Your body will not create the right kind of hormonal responses, you won't have the right amount of energy, and you won't just function well. What you've got to bear in mind is when you create a caloric deficit, you're automatically going to inhibit the amount of vitamins and minerals you're going to get. Also, if you eat the wrong types of foods, your vitamin and minerals will be deficient. If you're training a lot, that leaches certain vitamins and minerals. So just to keep this simple, the two things you want to make sure you're doing when you're trying to eat well and train hard to achieve that perfect physique that you're after is to eat nutrient dense foods. So nutrient dense foods, NDF. The second thing is, if you have to, if you feel like you need to supplement with a good multivitamin and mineral supplement. So MV for multivitamin. So that's all you got to worry about in this portion. Don't want to get into too much details of vitamins and minerals because it's very difficult to have a general video that's going to talk to you about deficiencies without going into long detail. It's better to work out what you need for yourself through testing. You can do blood testing, etc., or just speak to a professional. If you need any help, come and see us, and we'll talk to you about any nutrition, vitamin and micronutrient deficiencies you may have. So that's really quickly what we wanted to talk to you about micronutrients. Quickly going to cover now the next topic, which is going to be hormones plus gut health. So we've basically covered macronutrients really quickly there. We're really going to cover hormones and gut health really quickly as well. We've already discussed one of the main key hormones in fat loss and fat gain in the macronutrient section, which was insulin. The other hormones you've got to think about in this whole picture of health and wellness and creating a physique are your testosterone levels. So I'm just going to test cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone, and your thyroid function. Okay, and we're going to talk about your gut as well. So testosterone is the male sex hormone. Women have a small amount of this as well. The reason testosterone is going to be really important, especially for guys who are trying to achieve this physique, is testosterone is responsible for muscle growth and fat loss. So if you've got the right amount of testosterone in your body, then you're going to find it's going to be easier for you to gain muscle and lose fat. This is why men find it easier when they do a strength training program to get the adaptation and the responses quicker than women. I get a lot of ladies come to me and say, well, I don't want to do weights because I don't want to look like a man. The reality of the situation is you don't have enough testosterone in your body to look like a man. The females that have trained really hard to achieve a physique that some people would class as manly have done so through a lot of hard work and also nutrition and supplementation, and without hiding anything. They probably take steroids and things like that to increase their natural testosterone and even unnatural testosterone levels to create that look. Okay, so it's important to get your testosterone levels right. Now, if you're a guy and you're eating the wrong kinds of food, so you're deficient with micronutrients of zinc and magnesium and those kind of things, and vitamin D3, that's going to affect your testosterone production. Sleep is going to be important for that as well. Your sexual health as well. So all of those are going to take into account testosterone. It's important for women as well, not so much for men. This is why women have a higher level of body fat as well to see abs, because they have more estrogen than testosterone in their bodies. The second one is cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. Now this is really important as well. When your body gets stressed through stressful times, or just even through dieting can cause stress. What happens is your body secretes this insulin called this hormone called cortisol, and cortisol is a stress hormone. So what it does is it creates free energy for your body so that it can deal with the stress, and it inflames the body to protect it. Sounds good so far, but how it creates that free energy is by leaching protein. It breaks the protein down to create energy. What that means is you're going to start losing muscle mass. Cortisol also activates enzymes in fat cells that create fat storage, especially around the belly area. So if you've got a lot of belly fat, that could be indicative of stress and high cortisol levels. Cortisol management is really important. That comes with post-workout nutrition. We're going to cover that really briefly in supplementation. Other things are like stress management, how is your sleep levels. If your sleep's not good, and again we're going to talk about that in the recovery and rest section, if your sleep's not good, your cortisol level's not going to get regulated, your testosterone levels aren't going to get regulated, and it's going to cause issues. Your thyroid is a gland that is around this area of your body that regulates your metabolism. So it's like your thermostat for your metabolic rate. If your thyroid is not functioning on optimal level, if you've got thyroid issues, you're going to find it harder to lose fat and lose weight. There are certain hormones within the thyroid called T3 and T4. T3 especially is important for fat loss. So again, if your thyroid is not optimal, it's not working at optimal rate, you're going to inhibit your fat loss. If you have any hereditary thyroid issues, or you feel like you've got issues with your thyroid, get it checked out by your health professional so you make sure that you've got that working at optimal rate. Your gut health, everything starts off in the gut. Everything you eat goes into the gut. If your gut is not working properly, if it's inflamed, if you're eating the wrong kinds of food, if it's completely inflamed and there's too much allergens in your body, like gluten, like too much dairy and those kind of things in your diet, and too much sugars, and your gut bacteria is not strong, then it's going to affect everything else. The kind of your metabolic rate slows down, your thyroid production slows down, you're going to have elevated cortisol levels, it could even affect your testosterone levels. So gut health is really crucial for all of this and all of this. This is one of the key things you got to think about. So again, nutrient dense foods, you're going to eat proper whole foods, lean proteins, you're going to stay away from processed foods, from hydrogenated fats. You're going to stay away from sugars. You're going to try to stay away from allergenic foods. If you know you're allergenic to any foods like dairy, gluten, even fructose, stay away from it. That's going to cause gut inflammation. Eat foods that are going to promote gut health, like probiotic foods as well. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about, hormones and guts and the gut health. So hopefully that you've got more of an understanding now on that topic. We're going to go on to the next topic now. I'm going to take a break here and then we're going to restart the video. Hey, it's Fahad here again from Team Fighting Fit. Going to go over Project 10. We're going to talk about the nutrition side of things again, and we're talking about meal timings. Now, it's not just about breakfast, lunch and dinner. This is going to get a little bit more in-depth about the whole concept of meal timing. So we've covered in the macronutrients section how to break down your protein, carbohydrates, fat. Now imagine you need, like we spoke about, 100 to 150 grams of protein for a guy that was 50 kilograms of lean body mass. Let's just assume now you need 200 grams of protein per day, which is a lot of protein. How do you do that? How do you eat that? Do you eat that in one sitting? It's going to be difficult to eat that in one sitting because that's quite a lot of chicken and broccoli. The best way to do that is to break that down into 5 to 6 meals. So if you imagine breaking that down to 5 meals, that's going to be 20 grams of protein per meal. So 20 grams of protein times 5, it's going to give you 200 grams in total. So you can spread that throughout the day. You can have your breakfast, you can have lunch, and you can have dinner. You can have your pre-workout meal, and you can have your post-workout meal, and you can have a snack. Sorry, that is 5. So that could be your 5 meals a day. If you aren't working out that day, they can be snack 1 and snack 2. Snack 1 and snack 2. So you break it down that way, and you can split your macronutrients down based on the time of the food, the times you're eating. You know, you've got to be a little bit use common sense about this. If you have issues where you cannot eat 5 or 6 times a day every 2 to 3 or 4 hours in intervals, because let's say, for example, you're a heart surgeon and you're in the operating theatre for an hour or 2 at a time, you can't just stop what you're doing to get a meal. But don't worry, if you cannot eat a meal on time, you're not going to suddenly deteriorate. Your body's not going to break down muscle. Your body's a lot cleverer than the supplement companies give you credit for. All right, but it does help you to understand that when you're eating smaller, more frequent meals a day, you can break it down, you can get the nutrients you need, and you're getting slow and steady supply, so your blood sugar stays regulated as well. You're not overeating, you're not hungry. It keeps you sane in that respect. The other thing we want to focus on is to understand the when to eat, especially when to eat carbohydrates. So you want protein at every meal. Okay, that is the focus. Protein at every meal. Second thing you want to focus on is greens. You want to have greens at every meal, if possible. In fact, not if possible, make it possible. That could even include a green supplement. So even a post-workout, you could have a green supplement in your post-workout meal. Okay. Now, what about carbohydrates and fats? Remember we said when you eat carbohydrates, your insulin goes like that, and you can't burn fat. There is a theory by Dr. John Berardi, who I have a lot of respect for, and he says that in order to limit this, you split your meals up into protein plus fat meals and protein plus carb meals. So if you're going to have a high fat meal, don't have carbs with it. If you're going to have a high carb meal, don't have fat with it. You have protein at each time though. So a high fat meal could be breakfast, you're not working out, you have a high fat meal, you have steak and eggs, that will give you the protein and the fats, with some spinach to get the greens in. Or you could have a lunch of an avocado, chicken salad, that kind of thing. So you're getting your proteins and your fats. Protein and carb meal, for example, could be a pre-workout meal of gluten-free oats with egg whites, or with a protein shake. Post-workout meal could be straight after training. You could have again a recovery shake with protein and some high glycemic carbohydrates like glucose or waxy maize starch or something like that, just to give you the quick hit of carbs and proteins. And then an hour or two later, you can have a sweet potato and some chicken breast or something like that. That would be a protein and carb meal. So you've got to plan your carbs and your fats according to your training. So the best time to eat carbohydrates are around training. So what you're going to want to do is the bulk of your carbohydrates. So let's just say we're going to say you're going to need 200 grams of carbs a day. You should be getting about 150 of those around training. So you can have 50 pre-workout and you can have 100 post in 2 meals, split in 2. So you can have split by 2. So what you can do is you can have 50 grams straight after training, and about an hour or two after that meal you have another 50 grams of a more sort of complex carbohydrate meal, such as sweet potato, brown rice, quinoa, that kind of thing. Yeah. If you really need it, you can have an intra-workout carbohydrate drink, but if you just want to train hard and you want a supplement in between during a workout, a good BCAA supplement is going to be beneficial for you. So that is what I wanted to cover on meal times. Whilst I'm with you, this one's going to be a real quick one. Might as well quickly cover water. So your body needs to be hydrated. Even a small amount of drop in hydration is going to cause a huge effect on your performance. It's going to affect your metabolic rate. It's going to affect lots of functions in your body. So being adequately hydrated is really important. Lyle McDonald, who is a really big time fitness guru, if you like, suggests you should have enough water to have 5 urinations per day. 3 to 4 of those urinations being as clear as possible. The first urination when you wake up in the morning can be a bit darker, but the rest should be quite clear. One of those urinations should come post workout. But how much water do you need to drink for that? There's a formula. You take your weight in kilograms. For every 25 kilograms you weigh, you have 1 liter of water. So let's say you weigh 75 kilograms. You should be drinking 3 liters of water per day. That makes sense? Alright, so you want to be drinking fresh water. Try to avoid tap water with all the chemicals and things like that put in tap water. There's even a theory that, and it's actually been scientifically proven, with all the birth control pills going back into the water stream, the water that we drink has quite high estrogen levels in it compared to, say, mineral water. What that can do is that can affect a male's testosterone levels. If elevated testosterone levels and is important to you, which it should be, especially if you're trying to gain lean muscle mass and burn fat, then just try to stay clear, especially if you're a bloke, steer clear of tap water. So fresh mineral water, bottled water is probably better for you. If you are going to use filtered water, try to get filtered water, a proper reverse osmosis filter fitted in your house. So that will help you achieve the water needs that your body needs. There's another tip I'm going to give you is in the morning, start your day off with putting some lemon juice in your water, with a little bit of bicarb soda or some pink Himalayan crystals salt. That's going to alkalize your body. That's going to help promote an alkaline environment in your body. It's going to help you just feel better and even promote fat burning. So those are just little tips for you there on water. So we're going to finish off in the next video on supplements. Okay, this is Fahad here for the last video installment for the nutrition portion of this video series, Project 10 by Team Fighting Fit, helping you achieve that lean physique so you can see a six-pack. And we're going to quickly talk about supplements. Now, this is an interesting topic because within this industry of fitness, a lot of emphasis is placed on supplements and the need for supplements. Do you really need a supplement? Now, the clue should be in the name, supplement. It should be supplementary to the food you're getting. So if you're lacking in the food you're getting, or because of your lifestyle, then a supplement is going to help. It shouldn't be a requirement. It shouldn't be something you absolutely need. The only thing that we really suggest to our clients, if they're is a good fish oil to help them with their omega-3s, because clearly we do not get enough omega-3s in our diets, is to get a good multivitamin and multi-mineral and vitamin supplement, because again we don't get enough multivitamins and minerals in our diet, and a protein supplement just to help you hit your protein needs a day, because if you are going to eat a lot of protein, sometimes it's difficult to just eat loads of chicken breasts and tuna and fish and things like that. It's sometimes convenient to have a shake, especially if you're going to have green smoothies or post-workout nutrition. A good clean protein supplement is going to help you fill that. Other things that you can look at are creatine, which is going to help you with recovery. It's going to help you with strength gains, muscle gain, and things like that. Again, we don't eat enough creatine in our diet, but you can get it from real food, from red meat and things like that. Herring has a lot of creatine as well. And BCAAs are important as well, branched chain amino acids, especially when you're working out during a workout, so that you're not losing muscle if you're working out really hard. Other than that, there's a lot of stuff out in the market perpetuated by the new supplement. So supplement magazines like Flex and Muscle and Fitness, they're owned by a company called Weider, whose main business is, believe it or not, is supplements. So they have this vested interest in promoting supplements. So if you read the magazines, what happens with them is you go through the magazine and there's more adverts for supplements than there are articles, and every other page is an advert for a supplement, and every article, lo and behold, promotes the supplement that's going to be advertised next. If you read an interview with a bodybuilder, for example, and he's going through his diet and training regime, and then all of a sudden he's talking about supplementation regime, and somewhere in that magazine it's advertised. So they have a vested interest in promoting those supplements. So it's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. So you can imagine why they think it's really important that we think that they're essential when they're just supplements, as I said. So that's the last thing I wanted to cover on the whole topic of nutrition. That was a longer video series. Training will be next, and we'll talk about rest and recovery as well, which is the R in the fitness trifecta. But if you have any questions, nutrition is going to be one of the most important parts of the whole fitness trifecta in terms of helping you see the results, because you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. Rest and recovery is really important to the general adaptation and to helping you achieve more and to helping you train harder. But in terms of just overall fat loss, if you've got the nutrition side of things wrong, if you're eating too many calories, getting the wrong kind of macronutrients, you're not getting the micronutrients, your hormone and gut health is poor, you're eating the wrong foods at the wrong times, you're not drinking enough water, and you're not supplementing when you need to, it's not going to be beneficial for you. So just to summarize it, calories, work out your calories, create the right deficit if you're going to looking at fat loss. If you're trying to gain muscle and burn fat, carb cycling, calorie cycling, get in touch with us for more information on those things. Macronutrients, work out your carbs, protein and fat needs and eat accordingly. Micronutrients, make sure that you're getting the right micronutrients and vitamins and minerals. If you're deficient in anything, supplement or eat the foods that will give you that. Hormones and gut health, make sure you're optimizing your gut health so that your hormone production is working at optimum rate. Your thyroid health, your testosterone levels, your cortisol levels are under check, and your insulin levels are under check, your insulin sensitivity. Meal times, you want to eat most of your carbohydrates around training, protein and carb meals around training, protein and fat meals outside of training. Water, you want a litre of water for every 25 kilograms of body mass, and you want to be urinating at least 5 times a day, with at least most of those urinations being clear, and you're trying to avoid tap water. And supplements, again, as I said in this portion of the video, is you want to only use them when you need them, and the only 3 that we really recommend are a good fish oil, a good whey protein, or a good, if you're intolerant to dairy, a good vegetarian based protein, and a good multivitamin and multi-mineral supplement. If you need it, go for the BCAAs, go for the creatine, but avoid all the other stuff. You know, there's a lot out there. There's new stuff coming out all the time. If you really need it, if somebody who knows what they're talking about advises you on taking it, for example, if Charles Poliquin came up to me and suggested I take something, I'd probably listen to him because he knows what he's talking about. But again, he's probably got a vested interest in selling me supplements because he makes money out of it. But yeah, okay. So hopefully that's given you enough information to understand the nutrition side of things so that you can take this information, go out there and achieve your goals. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for listening to me. Take care.